welcome back to the next episode. This one is going to be all about the engine bay modifications. So I've already started cutting out to make clearance for the intercooler pipes so that they can be run straight through into the engine bay. So I've still got to cut out the inner skirt, which is my next job, which is a little bit daunting, but it'll be worth it. So the pipes will now come through there, come straight up to the throttle body. So my measurements, that's about 400mm length. That's the original charge pipe. So it ran all the way across from one side back to the throttle body. So that's 1.6 meters long. So just that alone is taking 4 foot of pipe out of the charge system, which will make a huge difference to throttle response. So this side I've already cut out as well, clearance for the charge. So that one come through. The other circle will be the air cleaner below the headlight at this stage. So it'll run out from the bottom of the blower and straight forward under the blower. So it'll be a nice short run. And then the charge line will run down underneath the blower with a bend and come back up across off the rail and then through out the front. So that one will be also nice and short, which is probably a good foot shorter than the original as well. So as much as I didn't really want to chop up this car because it is so good, really, at the end of the day, it's a show car. It'll all be returned to factory, custom, whatever you want to call it. So smoothing all that in, cleaning it all up, dropping this side down to match the other side. Everyone raises the driver's side. I don't know if you call it cheating, but I'll extend that guard down to match. Obviously the pipe work's got to be in the engine bay, so it has to be dropped down to cover that. It's going to be a lot more work than just putting a flat plate on the other side to make it the same height, but nothing new to me. Do engine bays for a living, so we'll work that one out as we go. Everything else is basically in there for trial fitting. Fan shroud will still be modified. That should go back forward another ½ inch. Water pump will go back another 14mm when the timing cover gets changed. So there should be more than enough room between those two. Whether or not I use that thermofan, still undecided yet. I can't see why not. The other thing we're not sure about is the stainless cover across the top, whether or not we keep that or not. It's up to Troy. We'll see what happens. So after a couple of weeks of chopping and fitting and testing and waiting for parts to turn up, now have the engine bay pretty much planned out, everything done. So the passenger side's all been cut out. So I've dropped that right down, got the pipe in there. Driver's side is cut as well. The battery tray's now gone. So pipe work for the moment is made up. Everything is basically in there and done. The plan is to run the air cleaner out the front, so it'll be nothing but cold air. Power steering pump should mount in there, obviously covered once the bumper's on. If you take the bumper off, you're going to see it. I might make a cover up for it so it looks a little bit better, but bump will be on all the time anyway. Intercooler, we just tacked the elbows onto the intercooler for the moment so that I can make the pipes without everything sort of moving. It's self-supportive on the rails at the moment. The radiator support new bottom section will have tabs off it to hold the intercooler up. It's not any lower than what it was originally, so there won't be any clearance issues on the bumper. And the power steering pump obviously sits higher than the radiator, so that won't be a problem. We're going to put the blow-off valves, there's one for either side. Capra have hooked me up with a couple of blow-off valves that are new, big difference to the original one. So I'm going to mount those basically straight off the elbow. They've told me to put one either side, so that'll be symmetrical and they'll both just go into the atmosphere and fire straight forward, coming straight through the front bar. So maximum noise from those. You can see the difference in the size of the old one versus the new one. So kind of silly, but the old one's 25-year-old technology, so I guess that makes sense. Got another brand new sump, oil return. So I'm going to put the fitting in the side of the sump there. Figured it was easier just to start with a brand new sump. They're not very expensive to buy, so it'll be a lot easier to weld it. I can put the fitting in, have that painted, ready to go. So once the engine's out, that's ready to put on. Passenger side pipe is a lot shorter what it used to be. Just got to put silicon joins in there. We have a silicon join here at this stage. So that'll be fully welded to the shoulder body and painted to match. So there should only be one join, 2 clamps there, which is, I don't want to have hoses and clamps everywhere if I can avoid it. But the driver's side one, not 100% on the fitment of the intake pipe yet. It's got to come out of the back of the bar obviously and run forward. So I may put a kink in it here to bring it across more, but it's going to be there somewhere, at least that it's not sucking hot air from the engine bay. So it leaves everything open, which is the main goal, was to have both inside skirts visible. So they'll be painted or smoothed, painted, airbrushed. We're not really too sure yet whether anything will go back on. There was no real artwork on them other than just a few graphics in places. So that'll be up to Wayne when he comes to have a look at it, whether or not he wants to put something in. Troy can have some input as to what he wants on it. We'll leave it up to Wayne. Obviously, he's done the rest of it. So if he wants to put something in there and comes up with something, then we'll do that. But I don't think it really needs anything over the top. The whole point is to have the motor looking as clean as possible. So next job will be to make up the steel brackets for the blower. Now that the intercooler pipes are done, I can pull the engine out if need be. Over East, I'm going to try and get the sheet metal done for the inside of the engine bay, so at least I can get a start on those, making them up, getting them dummy fitted. It's going to be a lot of welding and bogging, sanding to make those look good, but it is what it is. That's my daily job, so it won't be too much of an issue. Not sure whether we're retaining the stainless steel cover yet. It's really going to detract from having the smooth engine bay, but being just a sit on there cover that screws down, that's really going to be up to Troy whether we want to keep that or smooth the top of the support, paint it to match and just blend in with the rest of the smooth engine bay. So that'll be something to do once the rest of it's kind of built and eyeball how it sits, and then go from there. So that's where we're up to at the moment, and ready to start welding and making some stuff up. So I'll keep going. Just thought I'd chuck in a clip showing how much difference there is in the pipes. So that's the 2 new ones, and that's what it replaces. So huge difference in the length. Should make a big difference to throttle response at a minimum. Not sure what else, but I guess we'll find out when it hits the dyno. One of the challenges facing at the moment is the MAF. So if we get it tuned MAFless, I don't need to put that there, other than having a plug that's stuck right on the inside, which you won't really see. It's going to look pretty stupid sitting there, but we can paint it to match. It's got to be tuned for the cam anyway, so whether we go MAFless, it's sort of up to the Troy, depending on what it costs. It's really not going to benefit any. It's hardly going to be driven, so it's really going to be a cosmetic thing. But it won't really matter. I can just change the pipe over once, or make up both pipes so that once it's tuned we can just change it over. All we do is put a map sensor inside and run a vacuum line to it and a couple of wires, so it'll get rid of the MAF completely out of the engine bay. But we'll worry about that when we get to it. For now, I'm just going to make up both pipes so it's ready to go. So been busy cutting up some more. Pretty much at the point where I don't really need to cut any more out, except the rest of the support brace there for the moment, which is holding the top lock up. I don't really want to cut that out and have that drop in case I lean on it and bend something. This side's obviously chopped out completely, which I need to do to get the intercooler mounted with the radiator. So I've got the lower rad support piece made up, in guards cut out, so that'll be dropped down to match the other side. Still got a little bit cut out in the corner there. Everything else is basically cut. Just got to tidy some bits up, but the main structure part that's been chopped out is now gone. So everything will be replaced, probably stronger than what it originally was. Just that it'll be a lot smoother and obviously fit the intercooler and the radiator in a lot better. Tucked the radiator forward just a little bit and dropped it about 5 mil just so I can make the top of the support level with the radiator. The original stainless panel is not going back on. Won't really match anything, and got Troy's permission to not use that, as much as it sort of keeps with the nostalgic look of it. The rest of the pieces are gone, so there's not much point leaving that one there anyway. So that'll be all smoothed in and painted to match. And then we'll work out what airbrushing we're going to do once everything's painted. So once I get this whole front built, I'm just going to start welding and tacking pieces in now so I can make the rest of the inner guards for the front, new covers for the rails, etc. And then once the pipe work's done for the intercooler, then the engine can come out. Don't really need it there to do any more of the work. So once that's out, I can finish smoothing up all the holes and stuff that are on the inner guards. We'll fill in the back corners, tidy the back firewall up a bit. So that's pretty much the engine bay kind of ready to go as far as that goes. I've already started making up a few panels. So got the panel that goes below the headlight on the inside, the new radiator support sections, which have been test fitted. I've just got to sort of clean those up on the rails and then I can weld those in, and the lower radiator support, which needs a bit of bracing to make it more structural, but it's the moment it's holding the radiator where I need it. I'm just going to make up some brackets to hold the intercooler to it. So once those two are in their place where they need to be, then I can weld stuff. So can't really do much more chopping for the moment, but we'll get all those sections in. The radiator is going to be mounted different to its original mount, even though it'll be in the same spot. So looking forward to getting some bits in there, get it mounted. Everything's fitting really nicely so far, so I shall keep at it. A quick update after a couple of days of solid work over Easter. Got the inner plate made up for one side that's not welded in yet, it's just sitting there for shaping to try and get the pipes and everything sorted out. So that one's coming through. Got the extension for the inner guard, which still got to shape a bit to follow the contour of the inner arch. Not really an issue, but I've got to do something, I've got to do at work. So the pipe for that side is in there. I've made clearance for that. This one's still in cardboard, obviously I haven't cut that one out yet. The rest of the radiator support's been cut out, so you can see where the mount is for the radiator using an existing part, but I've got this to mount to the side of it, and the bolt will actually be on the front and be bolted inside there. So it'll be hidden. Obviously you've got to take the front bar off to get the radiator out, but that's the least of its issues. I don't think it's ever going to be worked on, and if you do, you've got to pull it apart. It's not the end of the world. Everything that's behind the bar is going to be made to look pretty as well, so if we do happen to take the bar off at a show, it will still look clean as the rest of it. The other thing I've got done today is mounted the power steering. I need to throw the bar on to make sure it clears. It's up in the barn, so I need to get that down and just check that. Eyeballing it, looks like it should be fine, so that's mounted to the rail, and then I've got a bar that ties it back into the chassis rail at the back as well, so that ain't going anywhere. I may make up a strap just to hold it here, just so that it cannot bounce. The intercooler bottom mounts I've made up, so they're, well, crooked, but that's in there for the moment. Just got to mark that, weld them in, so the radiator's effectively where it's got to be, and the intercooler is also now pretty much in place. It may come up a few mil depending on what clearance I've got for clamps on the inside. Once the bottom of the rails, or top of the rails is done, need to make sure the clamps can fit in there without hitting anything. So that's sort of where I'm up to at the moment. Tomorrow I'll put the bar on just to check that power steering, and then keep going with the rest of it, cleaning it up and get some more stuff welded in. The inside on the passenger side is welded in, so you can see that section that's there. That's basically the continuation of the radiator support, how it was before, but it's made clearance for the pipe, so the other side's got to be cut out so I can do the same. I've also ordered an air cleaner. That's basically the size of what the air cleaner is, so somehow I've got to make that come through the front of the support and then mount this so it's external to the engine bay. No need to box it in, but it'll be sucking cold air from outside, so that's as soon as that turns up, I can make up the rest of that piping. So keep going and have some more chocolate for Easter. So I haven't really got as much done today as normal. I've done a few other jobs being Easter. I've got to get some stuff done. But what I did is get the front bar down to check that it clears the power steering. So it does, not by much. There's about 20mm gap. So it fits. That's all I needed to know. Nothing else is going to stick out further than the power steering. So should be fine where it is. It gives me plenty of room to mount the air cleaner once that shows up. The order of all the 3-inch silicon bends and clamps showed up. So all the joins will be black with black clamps. Have made one mount up for the radiator. That's done. So we'll short out the fan shroud. Intercooler is basically where it's got to be. The other thing I wanted to do was throw the bar on to check how it's actually secured. So currently it's only got the 3 screws across the top and then a bolt on each end, which not really ideal. This bar is quite heavy. There's nothing underneath that holds it up. So the 2 holes in the front, which would usually line up with the factory Rio, which is not there. Not really sure what I'm going to do yet. By maths, there's about 200mm gap between the intercooler and the bar. So anything I build is going to be sticking out quite a way once the bar's off. So if we take it to a show and take the bar off, it's going to look pretty ugly. So I'm going to try and make that removable and structural. So we'll see how that goes, but that'll be on the list of things to do. I don't think there's much else I've really got done in the bay today. Made up the other piece for the radiator support for the the right hand side. So those 2 parts have to be welded in. I got some pipe for the blow-off valves. So we got 2 of those. So I just got some 1-inch aluminium pipe, which I'm going to weld to the bottom of the bends on either side of the intercooler. Try and drill them out and sort of get that held in place tomorrow if I can. They will both fire directly through the front bar, so pretty much through there. So on the blow-off valve, it's going to be quite loud, and obviously the filter behind the bar, so it's going to have all the noises. We've also got someone chasing up a cam to suit the blower and have a decent idle, so should sound the part. I don't know that it'll really go the best. I'm guessing the blower will maybe be good for 400 at the wheels, which will be more than enough for a ute, but obviously it's got a fair bit of weight in the back, so we'll get that dynoed and sorted out, and if it ever gets driven it should have enough go, but that's not really what it's about. So I think that's probably about it for this video. So just thought I'd throw that bar on, see how everything sits. Everything so far is going well. Everything fits in there. So and the other thing I've got to consider is the bar. You can see at the bottom there, obviously being full show, that's going to look pretty average across there. So I'm going to have to paint and smooth out the inside of the front bar. So it's obviously going to be on there majority of the time, and really don't want to see that mess through looking from the top. So everything that's behind will be painted to match the outside. So being full show, we're going to do it once, do it right. That way, if anything ever gets taken apart, it looks as good as the rest of it. So thanks for watching, and I shall get on to the rest of the engine bay, and we'll have another video soon.